Hello YouTube, this is Morgan Airspeed Prime here with my next Avatar news video. So we actually have some Avatar Studios news here, which is quite interesting. I wish there was a little bit more to say about it, but it is actually a pretty notable piece of news about Avatar Studios, and that is that we have the reveal of the animation studio that is going to be animating the first, at least the first Avatar movie from Avatar Studios. So this is going to be the ATLA Aang and Friends focused movie. It is a, as they say here, 2D feature film. So let's just read through this. Flying Bark themselves posted on their Twitter. They're incredibly excited to announce their partnership with Avatar Studios on their newly announced 2D feature film. Now, this is one where I'd kind of be like, technically, has it properly been announced when we don't have a title? You vaguely told us what it's about. Like, wow, the movie is about the main characters of effectively the franchise in terms of just raw popularity. I get it. It is known about, but probably not as known about as you want it to be, because even they have no extra visuals to show off to go with this announcement. All they can do is show their own logo, the Avatar Studios logo, which is the only Avatar Studios piece of kind of official imagery we have, and then stock image of Aang from 2007 2008. You know, it's one of those type of things where I get it, you're probably not quite ready to show any visuals from a new thing if it's potentially just started here, because it says we can't wait to get started on this project. So I guess that confirms animation hasn't properly started yet. There might be some sort of pre-production type stuff going on, but anyway, we're looking forward to welcoming even more talent to our studio, because the article that they link here is this one here. Flying Bark recruiting artists to work on Paramount/Nickelodeon's 2D Avatar film. So they have enlisted Flying Bark Productions to animate the newly announced untitled 2D Avatar film. This is the problem here with Avatar Studios. You need to turn this very weird, complicated, not specific way of referring to the movie into a title. And I think you probably need to do it sooner rather than later, just so you can point people to, this is the name of the movie, it's coming out. There's not much information about it, but there's something that you can point to. Right now, the information is so scattered, it's so difficult to inform people where we're really at with Avatar Studios. So, the Sydney-based studio seeks to expand its team. Set to couple traditional 2D animation with substantial CG elements, the Avatar feature films will be based in the world of Avatar and Legend of Korra, which were originally created for Nickelodeon by Bryan Konietzko and Michael DiMartino. The upcoming feature will be directed by Laura Montgomery, we know that, with Konietzko and DiMartino producing under their Avatar Studios banner. Flying Bark Productions, whose recent credits include Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Lego Monkey Kid, and What If, has put out a call for Australian and international artists across several 2D animation and CG departments, with successful candidates to join the company from the next year. This is some kind of government support here for it, to support, I suppose, animation in Australia. Flying Bark Director of Production said the studio looked forward to welcoming talent while also further developing its team of 350 artists during an exciting time for Australian animation. So that's interesting, somewhat big studio, 350, and then they want to add more. Avatar and Korra are two of the most iconic animated series of our time, and we are simply thrilled to play a part in bringing this story to life. With a company full of creators and superfans, the Avatar feature is a dream project for the team of Flying Bark. Paramount comment on this and say that Flying Bark have a record of artistic excellence and made them the ideal creative partner. So yeah, very, very interesting stuff here. So we have an Australian animation studio here doing the movie for Avatar. Obviously, I think there's going to be some sense for maybe are Studio Mir ever going to be involved in any of this stuff? Down the line, I assume they will be. Because the idea, I'm guessing, is that, okay, Flying Bark seems to potentially be a first choice here. They'll do some of the really, really big projects. But everything that has been said about Avatar Studios is that once things get rolling, we are going to have multiple projects in production at the same time. And I don't think you can have just this one studio make everything if you are potentially having a movie, then you go on to immediately another feature movie, then another movie, and you're going to have to start a series, spin-offs, and other stuff at the same time. So there's going to be other animation studios that get working on Avatar on different projects. This is just for this first movie. They seem to be confirming it all. It's a bit of a weird one because it's like, say this article, for instance, like, is all of this like correct effectively in terms of like, have they just taken the information that like we already know about? Because I to me it comes across as being quite correct in terms of like this and stuff like that. But obviously, interestingly, they never quite mention the information from San Diego Comic-Con, which is that the first movie is focused on like specifically Aang and co. And there's just a few little pieces of information kind of left out like that, where connecting the dots of like the Lauren Montgomery one, we technically, I suppose, know is it because we don't have another director, so it sort of has to be that way. And it just speaks to, again, so far, the way this information has been presented, like none of the Avatar stuff I've seen so far has like posted about it. So, you know, just that kind of communication side of things, that this is a pretty substantial announcement, but there's not much to say about it because even though it's a very notable thing for obviously a 2D animation to get its animation studio, there's only so much we can talk about with this until we start to hear about more of the actual approach and maybe even see some stuff. But Flying Bark, I think a lot of people are quite excited about this. I personally have not really seen much of their stuff, but I know for sure I watched at least the first episode of Rise of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Now, I didn't continue reviewing that show, but it wasn't because of sort of like the animation quality. I just didn't like that show's like art direction for like the way the characters look. I just thought it was a bit of a weird iteration of TMNT for me. But I went back to my review of that episode and I noted that I did say that the animation was actually quite fluid. So in terms of just quality kind of animation, it's good. And then they stuck to the specific show's art style quite well. So given that we know they're planning to develop their own kind of cross a lot of their projects art style that suits 2D with a bit of 3D involved, I'm confident that this studio will get the Avatar art style down, and that this is a studio that is capable and good enough to do high quality animation when it needs to do. Now, obviously, there's a lot of factors that go into making sure that it is as quality as possible, and that is giving them enough time to work on the project so that it can be as amazing as it can be, having enough people, having the right kind of talented people as well in all the right positions, obviously having the money there to support that as well. And I think for the most part, it seems like that is the way that they're going. This is one where I would have liked to have seen what Mike and Brian say about this announcement. Especially Brian, given that he seems to be more of the kind of like art specific kind of focus of the two. But both of them, I'd love to know like how intricately involved they were in choosing this animation studio, because we assume that kind of has to be the case. Obviously here they cite that it's Paramount Animation and Nickelodeon Animation have enlisted Flying Bark Productions. Not necessarily that like Avatar Studios have enlisted them, but again, it's all under the same umbrella. It's a bit of a weird situation. And then they obviously cite Paramount Animation Executive Vice President as part of this. But I assume Mike and Brian were involved in the decision making here. So I'm pretty pleased with this. Sure, the ideal one, the perfect situation would have been to know that Studio Mir is coming back. I'd be surprised if we don't see them do more Avatar at some point. But for now, while Avatar Studios is still early on, I think it's kind of almost a good sign in a way, with so many projects on the horizon, that they are actually seeking to do and use other animation studios as well, because I think we're going to eventually get to see quite a few. Again, for anyone who is unaware of situations like this, both Avatar and Korra both used multiple animation studios across the board. Like Avatar had basically 3 animation studios over the course of its run. Korra technically used 2 because Studio Mir obviously weren't around to animate the early parts of book 2, and an anime studio had to come in, Studio Pierrot. And so that was sort of a last minute thing. But you can see the idea that like this is sort of common practice. But for the 2D feature movie, it does seem like they are focused on Flying Bark is doing it, and this looks like it's in good hands. As for the other little bit of news, it's just, again, on the Weiss Schwarz Avatar thing. It was an interesting point where the Twitter account responded to someone who said, like, Avatar is the set they're most looking forward to, and said, can't wait to recreate this on stage. And stage is basically the name for the board in Weiss Schwarz. And the gift that they highlight here is, of course, Final Battle Aang in the Avatar state, going all out with the elements here. And so what I said, quote tweet here was, retweet was, I guess this confirms the set covers the entire series. Because again, they gave so little information in the info the other day that I was like, okay, there's no way you have Blue Spirit basically cards, but then also can recreate the finale unless you have stuff that basically covers the whole breadth of the series. They did respond and they said, does it though? As in, does it confirm the set covers the entire series? Guess you'll have to wait and see, ! Intern Kun. I think this is the right response here. This is the way of like, they don't suddenly get super serious all of a sudden and shut it down. They sort of acknowledge a little bit that maybe they kind of let slip a little bit with this without fully confirming it. I think this is a reasonable way to respond to this. Now, obviously, is the gift direct confirmation? Not really. But it's such a specific scene, and because Weiss Schwarz as a card game is ultimately about recreating specific scenes from animes and shows, the specificity that we're talking about here, I think, is correct to sort of bring up here. So I have a feeling it probably actually will be like a full series type thing, because they can always do like a second Avatar set just using different pieces of art and stuff like that. There's a way to make another set. It's not just a one and done thing ultimately. You can do other stuff, like Sword Art Online, for example, has like 5, 6, 7 sets, and they have special like anniversary sets and stuff like that. So you could do special sets for Avatar as well that don't have to be directly the sort of typical, episode by episode hit the main points type thing. But again, I'm excited for Weiss Schwarz, and I want to know more information. And I just thought this was a kind of a fun thing where it's just kind of like, let's see where this is going to go. And I don't know. I was happy with the response that I got here in terms of like, yeah, if it wasn't the case, I think I might not have gotten a response. So I don't know. This feels like a sort of like, I might have got them here on this one and actually kind of found this out. But anyway, that has been the news. So like I said in the comments, what are your thoughts on Flying Bark Productions being the first kind of animation studio to join for an Avatar Studios project? They will be animating the first movie, the ATLA Lauren Montgomery movie, apparently. And then, yeah, any thoughts on, does this say anything about the Weiss Schwarz set? But in the comments, let me know. But that's been it for the video. Thanks for watching, and bye.